Dzień dobry. Today I am in Warsaw and I'm gonna be talking to a guy that you probably know him. But wait, what about if you don't know him? Let me tell a little bit about him. So Fabio is best known for the D2 conference. It's one of the largest conferences that we have on the architecture visualization field. He runs a YouTube channel as well, showing and helping artists to monetize their jobs and giving them tips. And he's such a creative mind that inspired a lot of people. His personality is amazing. I'm sure you're gonna love him. So today I have this guy. So you probably know him. Ragazzo, tesoro, Fabio Palvelli.
You're the only one calling me tesoro. You and my girlfriend.
Well, Dagmar, like, it's fine with that. We don't tell her about this. So I work with some Italians, and then like I'm always learning, you know, some Italians bit and thing. And one day they call me tesoro, and then now like what is that?
It's like the literal translation is treasure.
Treasure. Oh yeah, no, treasure. Yeah, but like darling somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Dagmar, don't watch
Dear.
that. Don't watch
Dear.
this.
Yeah. She's outside.
So Fabio is the first guest of this podcast, and man, thank you,
Dude,
thank you.
this is
very
going
much.
to be very successful.
Yeah. Firstly, we are in Warsaw, right? How do you
Yep.
say, like, you know some Polish?
A little bit. I'm learning.
You learn. How do you say, like, welcome to this podcast?
Don't ask me. Zapraszamy do podcast? I don't know.
Podcasts are the same, even in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Right. Fabio Palvelli. When I first watched D2 conference on YouTube, I was like, who is this? Why is this guy so happy? You know, it's very energetic. And this, when I go to the conference, I see how this makes like everything so, you know, more happy. It's more happy. You know, it's very like sometimes we are like we fall asleep and then you go to the stage, you're like, wake up.
Yeah.
Right?
That's my job.
So is this something like you had to work on?
No. It's you know, like when I started the conference, the main thing that I wanted to have was to create a happy place where people felt very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought to myself, you know, if I'm a little bit out there and maybe even make a little bit fun of myself, people will be like, oh, look at that idiot. You know, I'm better than him. So, you know, like I can go and talk to others.
Yeah.
And actually, that's the exercise that we always do every year at the D2. We push people to talk to each other. You know, we do this thing where we say, hey, make friends.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a good tactic. I mean, it really helps breaking the ice and get people to make friends. And to me, you know, it's all, I do this conference because I've been very lucky to be part of a community that has helped me a lot growing
Mm-hmm.
up. And so as a professional, and so if I can help them also, then it's my pleasure.
Yeah. Do you think this behavior, like sometimes as an artist we very technical, do you think this is something like we should work on, you know, as no, I would say personality, but like these skills, like to soft skills?
Actually, I think that when it comes to design, communication and the ability to being able to interact with others is more important than the technical skills, because when you get to a level where you're good at doing something, okay, the people that are on the other side of the screen, the clients, they don't see if a rendering is too saturated or is too blurry. Like, yes, to a certain extent they will, but the, you know, that those little technicalities, they don't see them. But they do see whether you're an asshole, that, like when you talk to them, you're not nice and you're not accommodating, and when you feel like they feel like you're not giving them too much attention. And so I do think that, before we were having this conversation about senior, mid, what it means, to have experience, the most important skill to have in the field of design is communication, because this is a people business. Yeah. Design is the byproduct. If you have good communication, usually the design comes out good because it's a collaboration.
So you mean like with clients?
Yeah, of course. But we do this for clients, so they are the center of our world.
But would you say that this is too important for someone that is not dealing with clients?
It's still very important because, unless you're working on your own, but I don't think that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, you'll always be exposed to a team, or to, even if you're working on your own and you work in a team remote, those people that will work with you, they will also rely on your ability to communicate in order to have a good collaboration. And so, communication to me is everything.
Right. This is something like interesting that I kind of like working on myself itself. But like, would you say like someone that is very shy, no, I just like to do my stuff on the desk, and then I don't talk to people. Like, we understand there's personalities, of course, but what would it be like a first move, like just a tip, like to some, I don't know, a piece of advice to someone that want to actually start this, to open.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I can tell you a story. Like, many years ago, there was a guy that came to me. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to make fun of him. But he came to me and he said, Fabio, I'm really shy. I'm trying to make friends. He's a super talented artist, but very private in the way that he does things. And so I tell him, okay, just come with me. I introduce you to everybody. And that's what I did. I took him by the hand, a grown man. We went to everybody and I said, this is my friend, make friends. On the last day of the D2, we go to this restaurant, and I was late because I had to close the venue and everything. And I find this guy, everybody is screaming his name. He's on top of the table dancing, and everybody's like cheering him because he had made all these friends, So
the first move was like, okay, talk to people.
The first move is talk to people, go out. And if that's not for you, I don't really know what to tell you, It's like, it's a little bit like, I struggle with my weight because I like to eat. And so every time that I go to a doctor or I go to a trainer, the first conversation that we have is about food, And once somebody told me that they were like, yeah, you gotta eat less. And I'm like, but I love food. And they looked at me and they were like, what the hell are we doing then? It's like, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to get fit? Or do you want to keep eating? And so, at the end of the day, it comes down to priorities. I know that it's a totally unrelated example, but it is what it is. You gotta make it work for yourself.
Yeah, now that's so true. I see like this topic, actually, it's quite interesting. When you, I see now you more into the gym, right? These actually help you out of the gym. You go in there, you sweating, you're doing shit. How does like help you out of that?
So one thing that some people know it because I've talked about it on the YouTube channel before, but I used to be a professional sports guy.
No way,
yeah,
really?
I used to do ski competitions. And so for the training, I used to do a lot of running and a lot of gym. But running, to me, this was really the key to getting everything that I wanted. Because, like there is actual neuroscience that talks about this, the fact that you focus enough on something, the receptors inside your brain, they start recognizing things that are good for you and things that are bad for you. And
right.
So say that, you're a student at university and you really want to finish university in time, right? Mm-hmm. When you focus yourself enough to say, okay, I want to do this, your receptors inside your head, they're gonna start telling you, okay, don't go to the party, go and study. Or, oh, this is a good exhibition, go and see it, because then you can get inspiration for your work. So you start to make better decisions because your brain trains itself to see the things that are useful to you. And when you put this together with a sport activity, then those connections in your brain explode. And so they become better. People will be a lot more successful if they practice a lot of active meditation whilst doing sports. You know why that doesn't happen? Mm-hmm. Because we don't have the time. And when we have the time to go and do the sports, we think about our problems instead of the possibilities. Mm-hmm. And this is something, it's not a criticism, it's just an observation, because I catch myself doing that. When I do sports, I think, oh shit, I need to write to this client, or I have this problem, instead of saying, oh, make this, do that and focus on this and focus on that. So yeah, for what it's worth, I hope that this is a valuable tip to people.
That's I see how this this helps myself when looks like when I'm sweating and I want to I really can forget about work, because you really especially when you're starting a new sport or a gym or whatever, right? You're learning that, so your brain, there's no space for more information. So would you say that, because I see this, I'm asking this because I see sometimes, because we love what you do, we spend the whole time on a desk. Is that...
This was actually, to me, this was the biggest curse, because when I started to study architecture, I was a little bit older. I was 25 years old when I started to do it, and I fell in love with it. And I fell in love with 3D modeling. And so from the first year of my university, I was only doing 3D modeling. And for me, this was like playing Sims. You remember the video game? So, you would create worlds and you would create these buildings that were totally unrealistic, but you were immersed in this 3D world. And, 2006, this was still at the very beginning of all the technologies that are now like mainstream and major. To give you an example, this is something that people probably don't know or they don't remember. SketchUp, when it first came out, it had a little suggestion bar where you could actually write to the support, and the support will listen to what you had to say, and they would implement certain things inside SketchUp. This was before that SketchUp was from Google, bought from Google. And so, things like move and copy. I was like, wouldn't it be nice when you move the object to copy it as well? Send a message, and then they will answer, that's a great idea. 1 week later, the move and copy was there,
Wow.
Why don't we do this also for rotate? Yeah, that's a great idea. And do it for rotate, And so these were times where, the technology was just starting out. I mean, 3ds Max, I think it was version... I can't really remember when I started out, but I think it was already... I think that the one that we could put our hands on was like 6 or 7, so it was like few years of 3ds Max existing mainstream. I think the 3ds Max came out in the late 90s. I might be wrong on that, but I do remember that it was a very early version, and I hated it. Like, I could not work with it. Then I started to use Rhino. I started out with Rhino 2 at the time when I got in. Then Rhino 3 came out. Revolution, incredible. Then Rhino 4 came out, and Rhino 4, this was like game changer. And at the time I was making also the renderings because V-Ray came, and it was just life changing.
Yeah. So back to time, like you had, so you're saying like 90s. It's like I was born in, and then what I want to ask you actually, because you have this experience on this field of the archivists. there's something that is actually still the same. Things that we facing now, and we think, oh my God, this is something so like, how this is a problem, or this is something so. For you, there's topics that is like, yeah, this was like same.
Oh yeah,
10 years.
client comments have never changed.
Right, client comments.
They're all the same all the time. Same requests, same things. Before it was working with 3D, it was weird because you did not have a lot of assets. You did not have GI. GI did not exist if you think about it. But the problem is that, well, the advantage was that 2005, 2000, I think that I started in 2004 to play around with AutoCAD and 3D. Clients were looking at the screen and they saw something in 3D and they were like, wow, this is amazing. Like they did not think that this looked like shit. And even if you think about it, like the photo insertion that we were making, which were 3D SketchUp models with the sky and the street from a photograph in 900 pixels, because back then, not every screen was 1920, right? A lot of screens were like 1280 or whatever resolution. So, that's where I come from. We did not even have any problems. When we had to send the images to the client, there were two options. One was to save them in a USB stick, call a rider on a bicycle and bring them to the office, because the emails, they did not allow to attach an image. Or we would print them, because the problem is that every time that we will make images, then the client would open them on a shitty computer, and then the images, they look totally wrong. And so we had a printer inside the office with which we could send images. So, like those were different problems, but the client comments were always the same.
Right.
But because the times were a little bit longer, we did not have all this back and forth, change this, change that. No, it was, you get one round of changes, maybe some small comments later on, but, making an image would take a month. We're talking one image.
So then would you say that, like, because this was slower, the process was kind of somehow like helping you like work, because the client wouldn't give the feedback like in the same day, I would suppose, like.
No, there wasn't any feedback on the day, but we need, like, for instance, when I started out, my thing was that I was going into the office of a client with my laptop, and they would explain to me the whole design, because back then we did not even have a lot of 3D models. So I really had to make the 3D model, show it to them, and they would say, okay, this looks okay. And then we would render. Usually I was working a lot in SketchUp, and I was rendering in Podium.
What's that?
You have no idea. And we didn't even know that there was a sun or a square light. We had no idea. There was no metal material. There was no glass, real glass, because you did not have reflections. So, like a lot of these things were really weird back then, and you had to know that they existed so that you could Photoshop them.
Yeah.
So, the glass reflections, or I don't know. And a lot of the work that we were doing when we were rendering back then was removing the smudges. Because the samples of Podium, like if you turn to 1,000 sample, one frame will take like, 3 days to render. And so, and we only had like the majority of people, like if you had a Pentium 4, that was the speed that you get.
Then it's so nice. Interesting when, like, I heard these things, like, at the time, all this. Now it's
been a while. Now it's been 20 years almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think I have a question for you, like in this topic. When you was telling me this, you used to grab the laptop and go to the client. would you say that this like actually built your personality because you in touch with people, not behind?
It's hard to say because I was always very like social, like
Okay.
back in the day, I had a teacher, Dietmar Koenig, great guy from our phenotype, super visionary. The stuff that he was doing was crazy. And oftentimes we would go and drink in the night after class.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was when I was still a student. And so friends of his, they would come out and I would say to them, yeah, make renderings, take a look. I would take out my laptop and I would show them the renderings. And this was enough,
Mm-hmm.
that was enough. You just had to do this and they'll be like, and then, what they will say to you is that, oh, you can do that also for me. Because before, people never really thought the renderings were for everybody. They just said, maybe Norman Foster can afford to do a rendering,
Okay.
because this is. And back then, I do remember that, like sometimes we'll get quotations from company. One rendering was £10,000, one image.
Wow.
Like you can imagine. The watercolor guy, we had a watercolor guy that was making images. He charged us for 4 pictures that I thought like, this is incredible. £20,000 for 4 watercolor pictures. So, like the money that back then was just insane.
Yeah. So this is kind of like personality. If it's part of your personality, then this
I'm
opening
who
to-
I am by default.
by default. When you talk about like because you interview people, like I think this is important like for people who is watching, and they can take some advice, from this conversation. When you talk with someone, like interviewing someone, what actually make like you hire the person?
Hire the person. To me, it's important that I see that I've never, I haven't been that often in the process of hiring people, but to me, what's striking is the personality.
Right.
When people, like oftentimes you talk to somebody and they will tell you their CV, what they've done. To me, it's nice when I talk to people that are humble, because like at the end of the day, we have to spend 10 hours a day in the office together to do things. And, to me, I just want to be able to work with people that they don't think that they know everything better.
Mhm.
That's the only thing. And then when it comes to skills, like the artistic eye and the willingness of putting a lot of creative energy in doing things, this is to me more important than skills, because skills you can learn. Skills are learnable.
Yeah, that's true. I see that. I agree with that, because sometimes you just like you have to sell your shit, like sell your stuff, like sell yourself. And I can be very good like technical wise, but how can I sell this? Not sell is like you know what I mean, right? Like show to people like, look, I know how to do this, or like I think it's all connected somehow, isn't it? Like this, you open to talk to people and because in an interview I think it's tricky, because let's say I can say anything. I can say like, oh man, I love to work like with the team, all these things. But you can get the vibe, right? Like through
I
the
think
call.
that to a certain extent, like oftentimes what we do is a test, and that test tells you everything. Like if
Not
you
only
see,
technical.
no, but also like how people communicate.
Yeah.
Because you can get a very quick understanding, and sometimes in tests it's nice to throw some curveballs to say, oh, look, no, that's not what we meant this, just to see how people react, and you can tell, if the person wants to fight you, and that they're not very collaborative, that they're just like interested in getting the job done, and that's it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the nature of our job, it's not about getting the work done at all, because like sometimes one thing that you have to think about is that in a project, when there are 5 or 6 players involved, one is the decision maker, and then there is 5 Johnny and Karen that, need to make sure that they show to the boss that they're doing their job. And so they're just talking and they're just wanting to make sure that, they are making an impact, right? And so you have to know how to navigate that as well. If you do not have an accommodating personality and you just fight everybody, then every single item becomes a discussion, and sometimes as an artist, I guess that this comes also as a, with a little bit of maturity, you start to filter, who is saying what and how and what it is that they're expecting. It's been very often that people say to me, we gotta move a chair 5 centimeters. This sounds like a joke, but people do come with those kind of requests, And so, are you gonna pick a fight? What is it that you're doing? If you don't move the chair, you can say, yeah, it's only 5 centimeters, so you don't really see it, so it's fine, it's okay.
When you work like this same on the same situation, when you're working next to someone, would you pick like one thing that for you, like Fabio, you see as a really good a really important skill or behavior, like in a team? What makes like I'm not gonna say even like an artist, because we have managers, we have like different roles, it's etc. But as a person, like what makes like someone enjoyable to work?
The willingness of wanting to help.
All right.
This is to me the most important thing, because like I understand it. Sometimes people, especially when it's a collaboration and things get to the point where it's very stressful and nerving. Sometimes just, feeling that you have somebody close that it's there telling you, yeah, let's take a look, it helps elevating you, a little bit. And I think that nowadays we don't have enough of that, maybe it's just the modern corporate world, but personally, I'm the kind of person that if I can do anything to help, and I always ask around if there is anything to do. Like, in this company, I do sales mainly, but, if there is a script or something that we have to do with marketing, I'm like, do you need me to do anything? Like I do it. It's who I am. It's not because it's who I am. I do it because I just, I think it's a nice thing to do for people.
I'm asking this because like, I see when you work in an office and with more people, I think when you are a freelancer, it's different because you work with like by yourself, so it's different. So you don't have to deal with people, right? But in a company, it's so I really see that, like, and I agree with you in this point. Like the way you have your skills and you're working there because of your skills, okay. But if you have like this proactivity, this, and you are a nice person, maybe like you're doing shit, but if you know what I mean, like it looks like if you have this, and it's not, you can't fake this, right? Like it must be very honest somehow. So that's why I'm on this topic, like
honesty should be at the base of everything. Like you should always be honest, because by being honest, you don't have to fake anything.
But this doesn't mean like to be disrespectful, right? Like,
no, of course not. But honest, like in genuine, rather.
Yeah.
And eventually, I'm also of the opinion that like it is your duty, if something you don't like it, that you have to be honest, sensitive but honest, to say, I think that there is something missing here, or I think that something doesn't work. And I've been in a situation where in certain companies, when you bring up the problem, and sometimes people don't want to hear it, this is where you have an issue with honesty. because sometimes the boss is just not interested and they don't want to hear it. A pro tip, if that's the case, when you do want to raise an issue, also think of a possible solution, because it's easier to digest if you go there and say, listen, I think we have this problem and I think that this is what we should do. You don't just throw the problem on people, you give them also a possible solution,
So you're not like the negative person.
Yeah, like, I give you a silly example, oh my God, people are hungry, maybe you're doing an overtime and you say, people are hungry. Don't do that. Say, hey, people are hungry because we're doing an overtime. Let me order Uber. Give me the card,
Yeah.
Things like that, so that you can take care of that problem at the same time, and you don't just bring it up as a problem like, oh, we're hungry,
Yeah.
You can always find a solution. I hope that this makes sense to people. Like, to me, it's very important when you come up with an issue, if you're just telling me that there is an issue because you want to tell me that something is wrong, it's of no use to me. Tell me the solution. Don't tell me the problem, tell me the solution. This is
I can bring the issue and then, look, I don't know what to do. Can we work on that together?
Can we talk about it?
This is being honest.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Again, the willingness of help to say, hey, look, let's work together.
Yeah, I see. If you would say, if like there's someone now starting on Archviz, what would you say to them? Like, because we want to improve our skills, your artistic eyes. Okay, that's something. But we want to grow on career, and in this field. Like, if you would say something to yourself, actually, like
from 20 years ago?
10 years ago, yeah.
I don't know. Like, mine, it's a love and hate relationship, because I've given a lot to this industry, also to the community and everything. And the community has given me a lot, but I also had to sacrifice a lot. Like, there were a lot of sacrifices. People don't see it, but, I can tell you because I've been through it. Looking back, knowing what I know now, I would probably not get into this field. I would not. Because the amount of effort that I had to put, I could have studied something else that would have made me probably more money and would have given me maybe a more decent lifestyle. But then again, I don't know if that's true. You know why? Because maybe I wouldn't have loved it. I love what I do now. To me, there is no day of work. I work on Saturdays, Sundays. We sit down oftentimes with the boss of the company to write scripts, to come up with strategies, to talk about sales, negotiation. It never feels like work. As long as you feed me at a given time, then it never feels like work to me. I don't think that I could have done the same if I was a lawyer or if I was a doctor. So, it's very hard to say. But if I could go back to 2009, I would say buy Bitcoin.
That's true. Yeah. That would make like you rich, and then you would work with this probably
for free.
Exactly. Man, that's something. I see, like, conference wise, when on the last conference, you asked people, look behind, talk to someone, like talk to people around you, and I've like, that is, it doesn't, it sounds like, yeah, that is a little thing, but actually, this really helps like people to, because some people are more shy, as we know, and this little interaction, and then on the break, they kind like, people like know each other because they talked before. So this is something that I see in conference. I go for the speakers, but man, I think I go more for the people. Honestly.
Yeah, of course, that's the key. I don't remember who said that to me. somebody in London once said, I always watched your videos and I thought you were an asshole. And so one day you came to me and you shook my hand and said, "Hey, I'm Fabio. Nice to meet you." And I was like, "Oh, this is a very nice guy." And I was like, sometimes it's very important to just go and shake people's hands and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that at the D2. It's part of our activity. We love to do that. We go back to what we were saying at the beginning of the conversation. To me, it's the most important part of the D2.
Yeah, I see. It really. I think we have artists across the world, and for example, as a Brazilian, I know it's kind of like tricky to travel, abroad, and
that's why we're coming to Brazil.
There you go. Yeah, because I'm glad because I know how difficult it is. It's very expensive. It's like and you go by yourself, like, and then I think if you have I don't know, it's a huge country, and it's. I'm really glad like Digital is coming to,
and it's a great country. Like I worked for a year with Elephant Skin. Honestly, some of the most talented people I've ever worked with. Brazilian artists are technically skilled, extremely humble people. They understand work, the importance of work. Enrique and G, the way that they built the company, it's a little bit of an understatement when you say like it's a company like a family, but really it's a company like a family. The first time that I met Enrique and G, I went with them to stay in Barcelona for a few days, and I met Bear, and we were playing there. We were cooking all together, so it really did feel like a family. So I think that Brazil deserves an event. Like they are looking forward to do this, and so I think this is going to be amazing.
I see like this is so through like working abroad. I see like when I used to work with Brazilians, in 1 week, that like if you have like a dog, if you have like a kid or whatever, where you live, we're very open, and then we mix a lot of the personal life with the with the professional, right? So this, but I think like working abroad, I can kind of like understand like we are like that, but you still have to respect different people.
The culture to me is very important, and I think that the biggest challenges in the future of running a company and doing it professionally will be linked to the culture aspect. Because companies are going to become more and more international. Clients will be more and more international. There'll be a race to whoever can do cheaper prices, better quality. So the internet will allow you to go everywhere in the world. So the biggest challenges will be cultural challenges. It's a given. The biggest challenges in the future, they're not going to be AI. They're going to be people. Know how to communicate, differences in culture. These are going to be the most important aspects.
Yeah, indeed. I see. I have Italian friends, and I can tell like if somehow they, because I work with Italians, and I met Italians at D2 as well, of course, like from Madi, and they're so like they talent, of course, but they really they put some effort like when they're working. I see like at work, I see sometimes they overtime and things like they really worry about about that. And I see this I relate this to Italians because all Italians that I know, I see this behavior, and I see like, and this is really like something that I've noticed like in Italy, a lot of artists they kind of struggle to get the first job, right? Like they like a job, a work in Italy is not, it doesn't make like you you can afford to live there working on this field, right? Is that That's my perception.
Yeah, no, it's like this. I mean, most jobs, they don't pay that good. Like, if you are, the issue is that the whole industry now, it's becoming very difficult for any junior or any person that is trying to enter. Because as a junior, it's really hard to bring any sort of value. And so to cover a junior position in any company, it's basically a sacrifice that you have to do in order to stay in the industry. This is a given. Because, right now, with the bare skills to be able to make an image, this is not enough anymore to be a junior. It takes so much more, and the bar has been raised a lot. And so in Italy, the only people that can actually make a living are those who have like 6-7 years of experience, that can really manage a project. They know what to do when the shit hits the fan, when things get complicated. So these are people that have experience, and those actually, they can make a fair, good living. But for a junior or somebody that is just starting out, this is not the place. A better place would be England, or I don't know, maybe France. Even Germany is getting too saturated, and that's because the amount of business that there is going in England is a lot more than there is in Italy. In Italy, there are fewer projects, but in my opinion, those fewer projects are usually of a higher quality, because we have a lot of like Italian brands, furniture, architects that are very famous. So the quality tends to be higher for smaller projects. In England, the quality is higher anyway, but the scale, it's huge. There is something going on all the time. And also England is a port of everything that goes through it, like the Middle East, America, Canada, everything more or less goes through England. London by itself, it's a market that could sustain, in terms of archivists, the entirety of Europe. There are projects going on every single day. When a building is like 20 years old, let's knock it down, we'll make a new one, and so, but it's a money making machine, that country. And so that's why it's a place where it's where people can find opportunities, but it's getting expensive. It's very difficult to, like, today we went out for lunch, 3 people, we ate with like 25 euros. 3 people, we got full meal with drinks. In England,
that's like half of my giorno.
3 people, how much will you spend in England to have a lunch?
That would be like, I don't know, 80, 90 pounds.
There you go.
Especially the place we went to.
You should move to Warsaw. It's on the table.
Yeah, man. I see, like, but these Italians, like, I mean, not only that Italians, but these people, they, to get a better life, not life condition, but like a better salary, honestly, they have to go abroad. But how do they do that?
What do you mean? Like,
how can they find, like, how they can find job abroad? Like, how they show there's, like, what would be
to me, my recommendation to anybody who's thinking to go away is just go away. Once you're there, you figure it out. Go. It's better if you go and work as a waiter for 2 months, because, it's a risk also for a company to hire you from abroad. Like, take a person like you. You have a very strong portfolio. You're famous in the industry. If you're telling a company, look, I'm coming to England because I want to work in England, the company says, okay, we know this guy is not fucking around. He wants to come. But for somebody who doesn't have a name, who doesn't have a real, strong pedigree of the things that they can do, they're like, it could be a hit or miss, And there are costs associated with that. There is time that goes into the review process, the interview and everything. So to me, the best suggestion that I can get to anybody who is thinking to go to England or to another country to get a job, because maybe in their country there is nothing happening, just go. Go, do whatever it takes. If you have to work in a shop, work in a shop. If you have to work in a restaurant, work in a restaurant. prepare everything that you have to prepare, go to interviews, and then you get the job.
I have a friend that's what he did. He went to London. He moved to to UK, and he was an artist like us. And he started work like in factories and thing. And
Carlos. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
It's a big friend. Yeah.
I wanted to say Carlos. It's a very good example.
And he started to build the connection here, connection there,
and then he became a freaking director. So it's like, now to me, I'll tell you one thing, okay? And these people might not like to hear it, but the excuse of saying, well, I don't find a job over the internet, so I'm not gonna go. This is just an excuse. It means that you don't want to do it. Because if you want to get a job in England, you pack your bags, you go to England. And this comes from somebody who did that.
You did that?
Yeah. When I went to England, I said, I want to study in England. And so I was studying in Naples, where I'm from. I did the application and everything, and I was like, oh, shit. I need to figure out a way to go there and to do it.
So you wanted to go to UK?
Yeah. So I said, okay, I pack my bags and I go. I went there in March. By May, I have done all the applications. In June, they accepted me to the university. Meanwhile, I was working in the shops as a sales assistant. So, like back home in Italy, I had a little job for an architect. So, I already had things going. But I went to England because this was my goal. And so for people to say, yeah, but I don't find a job, it's just an excuse. You just don't want to do it. Because if you really wanted to do it, you pack your bags and you go.
Man, that's crazy. I can see like some people might say like, oh, but visa wise and things. I see like if I would give like an advice, for let's say for people, for Brazilians, right? So you cannot just get in UK or Italy and leave, because of the visa.
You can. You can. My best friend, Bruno, he came from Brazil to Italy, to England. Did not have the papers, did not have anything, didn't even have the degree had to be converted because he was a sport therapist. He did everything. He made it work. He went to Italy for a while. He got his Italian passport because, a lot of Brazilians, they have Italian roots. Made the passport, went back to England, got everything done, changed all the papers. Now he has 2 clinics in London, in central London. He's doing very well. People, when they do it, they find a way. If they don't want to really do it, they'll find an excuse.
Yeah, I see. Even like, okay,
I'm very pragmatic when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah,
I do not like bullshit. I come from nothing. I've done everything by myself. I don't have much, but I've done it by myself. If a guy from the, banlieue of Napoli, very poor area, can actually learn a new language and go to another country and have the chance to live a life that it's a little less miserable than the one that I could have had in Naples, then you can do it too.
I see. Even like if you're just traveling, then like there's a studio in this city. I'm just gonna knock the door, like, can I just say hi? And then maybe perhaps like in the future, like when you can like send like
I'll tell you one thing. I know the guys from the neighborhood. Okay, I guarantee you that if you are an artist and you go to the neighborhood and you knock on the door and you see Nick, okay, you say, hey, I've heard a lot about you guys. I'm an artist. You might be busy today. Please talk to me. I would like to get a job in this field. I want to do this job. Nick would never say, go away. He would say, let's go for a coffee. People want to work with people that are making stuff happen for themselves.
Yeah.
So, nowadays with these fake messages of like, follow your dream, live the life of your dreams, whatever. when you actually do the work, you have a big advantage on everybody, because everybody is just like, oh, well, I guess it's too hard. I'll do it tomorrow or maybe the day after. No, if you do it now, you can actually have results.
I see sometimes like people saying like, oh, should I like apply to this company? But I don't have like enough. My portfolio is not like ready or like good enough. And it's like,
just go and knock on people's door. You don't even need a portfolio, to be honest with you. Like, yeah, okay,
maybe
it
just
helps.
say hi.
Yeah,
so, like not even like, I don't even have to say like I'm looking for a job. No, I'm traveling. Like I was passing here. Just say hi.
I'll tell you, it's the same thing in this company. If somebody comes and says, hey, I love your work, I just wanted to come and see you, people would not say no. They will be like, oh, I don't know what to do. Okay, just come inside.
And then maybe like let's say you have 5 people for that like you interview, and then one of these people is the one that came here. You're like, I know this guy. Like he was here. Like I think it's. I mean, what we're saying here is like, stand up, like do something, like go out of this comfort zone, right? Like you can. Well, nowadays, honestly, you can reach people online easily, but I see there is something like there is a balance between being annoying, and being like and actually hunt what you want. Like,
yeah, but if you really think about it, what's the difference, right? What is the difference? If you're annoying, that means that you push in order to get what you want. So in a way, being annoying has a negative connotation, but in reality, that's a skill, right? Because not a lot of people get what they want. And so maybe you need to be a little bit annoying, you need to be able to push a little bit,
So if I text you like, Fabio, can we have a coffee today? And then you're like, oh, I have meetings.
That's literally what you did. You're like, oh, I'm coming to see you now. I'm like, okay.
There you go. If I was annoying, it worked like,
if you weren't annoying, then we wouldn't have this conversation.
There you go. Yeah. Fabio, grazie mille. Thank you very much.
Dude, my pleasure.
And then, I hope you guys enjoy this. This is the first episode. Like, this is supposed to be very easy talk. Like, not, that's, just...
It's, we're testing things out.
Yeah. So, grazie mille. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And hope you guys enjoy and do everything you have to do. Like, comment.
Get it done.
Yeah, everything. Bye. Ciao. Ciao. Thank you, guys.
Okay, good. I need to go home to get dog.
Thank you very much.
Hey, no problem.